Right, today we're going to be doing, because at the time I was really interested in computers and I just got one of the first PCs, and the internet, you had to get on the internet with a modem. Yeah, it was quite a long, I can't actually remember when I swapped from modem to normal, what we've got now, broadband. But yeah, I can remember the noise of the internet coming on. But on the probe and on the mothership and on some other dedicated motherships, there's obviously going to be computers. Not like we know them, but today I'm going to try and relay what I understand I was seeing. Could be completely wrong, but because I'm not, I'm not that sort of obviously not up to date on this type of computer. It will be on there, but I've built normal PCs and done stuff like that, but these are nothing like it. These run on light. So basically, to cut a long story short, it's binary, digital. So we've got off is 0, and obviously light on is a 1. So you've got 0 and 1 in binary, and but basically it can send one photon at a time. So not like I think somebody's developing light computers just recently, where it was on and off and there was quite a lot of light involved, but these can transmit one photon and pick it up with a detector within the computer, all at a microscopic level. Now building these is only possible when you've got the 3D printer working so that it can only place one atom at a time. When we've got that, it's pretty impossible in our world because everything needs to be done now in order to make money. But in their world, if they need a new computer, between one solar system and another, they've got God knows how many thousand years to build it. So placing one atom at a time is very possible. The one atom at a time, mind you, is fast, because instead of having one stylus like we've got for printing bits of plastic, they've got a grid, a matrix of them, all fed with different materials coming in the top, off reels, as far as I can remember. But anyway, and they can place one atom at a time. Once you've got that, then you can build, and you know how to build these computers. Because I think we've pretty much cracked that already on this planet. So the computer in the probe, obviously only a small one, a bit like a mobile phone by our standards, an equivalent of, and that basically gathers information about what's coming into when it comes into the atmosphere and the top opens, air comes in, so they can sense all the different layers on the way down. They may get to ground level. That's when they take in enough air, and obviously the two walls of the probe, like I say, were almost like a honeycomb, but at a very, very microscopic level. He obviously couldn't detect it with the naked eye. Not like you can see pixels on a screen. It was much smaller than that. Again, all built one atom at a time. Now, they could breathe. Okay, that they were particle accelerators, which could accelerate any particle, including light, which why they could light up as a screen. But also they're breathing in, so they're the sensors on the probe as well, both sides, even where I was. And then basically that brings in the air that's in at that point on our planet, or on the target planet. And from then on, when that information is taken in, they can go back to the mothership, download. They take one lot of air by shutting the door and taking that as well. So, and anything else that might have gone in, like insects and things like that. But believe me, there's no storage for insects on the mothership. They'd be ejected or broken down into their particles and used in the particle accelerator at the back of the machine. So everything is taken down to single particles once it's been obviously analysed and checked, and then everything goes into the memory after that. Now on the mothership, the memory compared to the probe is colossal. Not sure about the method of storage. I had no inkling about method of storage, I'm afraid, which is really the biggest thing, because it's okay having a processor, but it's storing the information. But was big enough to handle knowing where every single atom was on a planet. Put it that way. It's that big. So it can then work. It obviously already, I mean, we already know what atoms, how they react with other atoms of other elements and things, and to themselves. So we already know that. So it can run that atom's path backwards or forwards, and every other atom too. So you can imagine the processing power and the amount of memory required to log every single atom. There is a what we would call like a side program, which eliminates anything that's been there that doesn't affect the main calculation. I.e., they want to know what's happened in the past here and what's going to happen in the future. So they don't really want to know about rocks that have been there for billions of years. So the whole of the Earth is pretty much cancelled off of that list. So all you've got is the surface and the atmosphere that needs to be in the calculation. So that eliminates a lot. So it's not as much, although it's a hell of a lot still, it's not as half as much as it was if they tried to do the whole planet. Now that would give them some idea of what happened in the past and what happened in the future. Now if you go to what I call a Judgement Day mothership, okay, now this is one that goes to planets that have registered are already registered on the system, so they're way ahead of us and have got the universal language and are given, there's no secrets because there's no money, there's nothing to hide. So all information is then given to a planet of how to build this, how to do that, how, you know, what's the best way forward. And believe me, the best way forward is on a knife edge. Any deviation from that and we don't survive. Now I know that path, which is probably coming up in a later one. So computing, now this Judgement Day computer is God knows how many mothership computers in one. So obviously the more processing power you've got, the better. Which brings me to another thing. The personal devices that everyone carry on these planets. Like we've got mobile phones now, that's the very, very root of the beginning of what I'm going to say when we get to put the personal devices one. That's the very, very beginning. And anyway, so this doomsday computer, it could be a doomsday computer, but I'd say Judgement Day computer, and it was known about here because obviously in the Bible there's a Judgement Day. Now I'm no Bible basher, so I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to tell you what happens. So say for instance that there's been some sort of alert from this planet. Something's going wrong, or they're not doing something right, or whatever. The Doomsday or Judgment Day Mothership can go there, and it can do what our Mothership does, log the whole planet, enter it all into the computer, and work out who did what. I mean, down to absolute fine detail. You could, you know, if we had a television screen attached to it, you could run that backwards and forwards from any point on the target planet. So you could see what people did. If somebody did something wrong, this system knows about it. So if it came here, it will be able to tell you all the crime cases that are unsolved, who did what, why they did it, what the results were, and everything gets logged. So that's the power of this Judgment Day computer. And that's why the religious people that were obviously very religious many years ago, like for instance the Egyptians, you know, they knew that there was a Judgment Day. They had been told by whoever the last visitors here were, or visitors at the time, because you know, there's been quite a few landings and quite a few interactions. Some over many years. They've been here for many years, you know. Some have stopped us destroying ourselves altogether. And you see things like this last meteorite that hit Russia, went over the top of the town and landed in a lake somewhere. That was being followed by... they already knew that it wasn't going to damage us in any way, but they followed it in with a small probe, just to make sure that everything was going to be okay. And that small probe would have had the capability of putting it off course or destroying it or whatever, probably at the cost of the probe. The probe would have been built especially to sort that problem out, so they would have known that was coming a long time ago, and with everything else too. So you know, they are there to sort of look after us, I suppose, or to gather information. After the 7 or 8 hours that I was there, I was under the impression that we weren't worth saving, which was a bit worrying. So yeah, that's the computer system. So what you've got is the processing area, and then the massive memory, and that's pretty much it. All the processing is done by light. I didn't get what the storage capability was, but it was something to do with particles and the storage of particles and how they were stored. Orientation, but I don't remember, or I didn't ask the question, or it didn't tell me. I don't know. I was so interested to find out what they were actually, how they actually operated and worked, that you know, if I could hindsight, if I could go back now, there'd be a lot of other things. And I have, you know, before we decided to go public with this and write the book, I tried to tell people within Project X, and on the website somewhere there is, in fact, I think it's still there, that nobody's touched the website for probably 10 years, a bit on the what we've called the atom track computer. And you'll see, if I've forgotten anything, you'll see stuff on there. But I've told people, and we all discussed it round a table and decided, you know, we weren't clever enough to make one, obviously. And like I say, we've got to get the manufacturing system up and running before you can manufacture things like this. So So that's the computer side of it. Now on other planets, I'm going to go into the mobile device bit a little bit, but I'm going on to the what they all do as a collection rather than what they do for the individual on a planet. So each mobile, obviously I've got one here, iPhone. It's off at the moment because we don't have them on here because of basically they can be tracked, so it's usually left at home, but today I bought it. That's got a memory on it and quite a big processor, Apple A10 or whatever it might be. That's sitting there doing nothing. On other planets that is working all the time. The memory is combined with every single other device on the planet. Not this planet, we haven't done it yet. On other planets, probably, and pretty much every single planet has got, every being has got some sort of mobile device. Some of them are built in. You go like that and your arm comes to life. You know, you can have it built in, or you can have it as a sticker, and that's how that you can tell, or a watch or whatever. But the processor, obviously these are like Stone Age at the moment. You know, I know they're very, very small because I've tried to fix stuff inside them myself. But yeah, Stone Age compared to the processing power and the memory. But obviously that's coming. You know, we're working on that now with leaps and bounds. You know, I remember when we had our first telephone installed, we had to share it with someone across the road. So if you picked it up and heard their voice, you had to put it down, and then it cost a fortune, and you had to use a dial. You know, that long ago. So I've watched this stuff come on and on and on. And at Argus, they all wanted, when I was driving, they all wanted their in-car telephones, and I've still got those, the Storner phone. I've still got all those somewhere, a huge box in the boot like this, and only worked in London and on the M1. So yeah, we've come a long way. So now, on the other planets, you've got so much memory and you've got so much processing power that when you haven't picked it up and are using it, it's sitting in your pocket or there or on your arm or wherever, unused. So that automatically reverts back to the main planetary system when you're not using it, and that provides processing power and some memory. Now, for instance, if you take a photograph or take some video or something, that gets stored on your mobile, but also goes to what we now know as a cloud. Now, I learnt about clouds and things 20 years ago, and I thought it must be some sort of magnetic cloud in the air. I didn't realise it was hard disks on servers. You know, I had no idea about that. So, you know, I thought, what's he talking about? But every single memory on, if we did it on this planet, we'd have 4 or 5 billion phones, all with a couple of gigabytes of memory. So you imagine the processing power, God knows how many, sometimes up to 4 processors in each. I think we've got a mobile phone somewhere, a military one, that's got 10 processors in it. That's like outrageous, 10 cores it is. But I'll bring that in and show you one day. But basically that, you can imagine the processing power, what I'm getting at, you can imagine the processing power. How much time we got? 19. Right, 10 minutes left, so I'll just tell you about this system. Yeah, so what happens is you take a picture, it's stored on your phone like it is here, but it also gets put out in the cloud around the planet. So you could have a bit of it over there, a bit of it over this side of the planet, a bit of it there, a bit of it there, all, and The reason why they distribute it is because if one side of the planet's hit by something, or there's a fire, or somebody's mobile gets destroyed, or your mobile gets destroyed, it's still stored in the planet somewhere. Nothing ever gets lost. And not only that, it's not just a picture. As far as I could remember, it's not just a picture you take, it's that they piece together, they take you out of the picture, or if you say you've taken a picture of a beach with you standing there, they somehow take you out of the picture and use the picture in something like a Google Earth thing, so that they know what's going on all over the planet all the time. Not necessarily what's going on, because they don't have to know that, because remember, we only need to know what people are doing because of crime and terrorism and all that. But in other worlds, you've got no country system, you've got no monetary system, everyone gets fed and housed and has transport and a free mobile. So, and I'll show you how that works. I think it's video number 25 or something. It's a long way away yet, but you'll be amazed that, you know, what we're doing here is just basically keeping the rich rich. That's all we're doing. So, but I'll tell you about that, because I've been at both ends of the scale. I've been really poor, then really rich, and I'm sort of heading in the poor direction again. so basically, but like I say, in Project X, we all help it. We use this system. We all help each other, and nobody wants any money. So it's quite good. Like, for instance, setting up this YouTube studio. We had to put funding in for cameras and things like that, but apart from that, the rest of it was done by us. So that's it. So basically, yeah, big computer. There's the Judgement Day or Doomsday Computer, if you like. Now, when it tells the authorities on the planet who are the baddies, so they get arrested and put in jail, or like they would here, you know, I suppose, I don't know, and then it goes away again. So it's like almost like a 10,000 year, every 10,000 years, like a police, like a mobile courtroom almost. But there's never really much happening, because, you know, but not only that, it can check the whole planet and run forward to make sure they're going in the right direction. It's easily, a long time ago, mapped all what other planets and rocks down to this size, what they're doing, so it can tell you if you're going to be hit and what to do, and it transmits that anyway, transmits data to the other to say, watch it, there's something coming your way. Give them a couple of thousand years to sort it out, you know. They've mapped virtually every single anything moving. So yeah. So that's, I think, is about it. I don't want to go over 30 minutes. We're at 23. So, small computer on the probe, takes in all the information of everything around it, goes up to the mothership, downloads that, that gets added to what's already on there, including what other ships have sent it, because it had previous knowledge of this planet, but that it's never been here, because they tend to go out in a straight line away from the planet anyway. So yeah, that's as far as we've got with computers. But like I say, we're headed for 0 is off, 1 is on with light, sending 1 photon with a photon detector, all at microscopic level, and all very, very short distances, very, very high speed, and with these colossal memories, which are obviously nothing like memories we've got. I'm still not sure how I didn't ask how they work, like I said before. So I don't think I've left anything out. No, I think that's it. Right, thank you very much. I think the next, no, I don't know what the next video is. I don't know how far we've got. I think we've got to, I don't know. Anyway, thanks a lot. Nothing else to say. And I'll try and upload the next video within the next day or two. I want to try and get this all finished. I'm leaving the controversial ones to the end because of the fact that, and the reason why we're all secretive here is because there are people who could be upset, especially the rich. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.